Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy Holidays. I am Sabine Franco, also known as Sabine the Purpose Lawyer, and we made it. We made it to almost the end of 2020. What a crazy, crazy time we've had, and it's still going. But I do want to say that I did have an opportunity to take the time to learn a lot this year, and I'm happy that things, slowed down a little bit because it got me to realizing a lot of things. And so I came up with a list of 20 things that I wanted to share that I learned for 2020, which will be on my Instagram. So I'm just gonna share my top 10 here. So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below to let me know what you think about this video if you want to chime in on the conversation. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to find out when I post these videos. Number one, so don't build wealth if you're not going to protect it, right? So I learned a lot about so much more this year than other years because of the fact that we had COVID and so many people were passing away, and then it got other people to thinking about, life's unexpected circumstances that can just happen to us at any time, even without COVID. And so a lot of people were calling me because I practice trust and estates. They were calling me about situations that happened with their, families, properties that were lost, wanting to do emergency planning and things like that, and it came to my attention that so many more people than I expected, especially in the communities of color, are not doing estate planning, and they're not, or legacy planning, and they're not sort of protecting the assets that they built. So one of my friends who kind of always tells this story about the fact that his mom had left him and his siblings a number of properties, and they, luckily she did have at least a will that she wanted her property to go to her children. But what happened was, because the planning wasn't done right, basically they ended up losing like half of it to taxes. And so there are so many ways to protect your assets, but a new narrative is generational wealth, building wealth, get the bag, all of that, wonderful. But we also want to make sure we protect it so we can get it to the next generation. And there's so many simple things that can be done just to help protect that. So that was number one, protect the bag. Number two, so another thing that was highlighted for me this year was the goal is to live off of 30% of your income. So I never knew that sort of 70-30 equation, or what do you call that? 70-30, whatever. But I did understand that you're supposed to live off of less than you make, of course, and save. So, but this year, to like really understand that you should only be living off of 30%. And of course, as your income grows, the 30% is more. But it brought me back to this friend that I had when I was working in, one of my first jobs, and I was making like somewhere between $8 and $10 an hour. And she was also making around the same, or maybe even less than that. And so we were having a conversation one time, and she had said that she saves $300 every paycheck. And I was just like, that's kind of crazy. Like, how are you saving $300 every paycheck? And I guess I was a little bit more judgy about it. Like, yeah, that's impossible. Why are you doing that? And she still had, made sure she took care of herself, like bought something nice for herself or whatever the case is. And I was just super confused about it. But years later, not so long after that, but years later, she ended up buying her first house, and she ended up, her and her husband owned like a restaurant bar, and they were really living a good life. And that brought me back to the fact that you really need to pay yourself first. And saving is basically paying yourself first. So you're not working for your bills, you're not working for even your experiences, but you're working to pay yourself first so that you have it tomorrow. So that to me was like a good lesson that, really kind of stuck this year, like live on less. And 2020 really helped us with that, right? Because there are things that we couldn't do. And so just not being so excess. So that was my number 2 lesson for this year. Number 3, so from the loss of Chadwick Boseman, or Black Panther, that really kind of struck me this year. I know it affected a lot of people. But it wasn't just because, he was Black Panther and that was like, Wakanda was everything for us. It was more so his work ethic and the fact that he was sick. He was dying of cancer for like 4 years before he actually left us. And so I thought it was incredible that all this great work that he was doing during those difficult times, like, he was literally dying and knew it, but did not abort the mission, did not, drop his oil, did not, give up on his purpose. So he was here to make a mark, and he was really like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let nothing stop me, not even, death. And so that was incredible. And I thought that gave me some good perspective, when I don't want to, keep going some days, or when I don't want to, go after certain challenges, that if he could have done it facing what he was facing, then I certainly can do it, in my everyday. So I hope that's helpful for you too. Number 4. So, asking questions. I know it sounds simple, but for me, that had been a challenge, because I had the perception that asking questions, makes you seem like stupid or unintelligent. And I don't know if that's a cultural thing or where it kind of came from. And maybe someone, you could tell me if you relate to that. And so, I hindered myself from asking questions a lot and always felt like I had to figure out everything on my own, had to learn things on my own. But it's really good to ask questions, especially people who have done it before, who has come before you, asking how they did it and, what things you could learn from other people's mistakes. So learning from other people's mistakes is really beneficial to you, because you get to save the time, and that's our most valuable asset is time. So ask all the questions that you can. It really is not something that makes you look unintelligent, but rather it makes you look smart. And it does make you smart, because then you learn a lot. So that's my number 4. Ask all the questions. Number 5. So a friend of mine sent me a video of Grant Cardone, and I'm not really a follower of his, but I watched this video, and it kind of is like from a year ago, and I thought it made a lot of sense. So he was training his sales team on what is successful basically, and what they need to actually be making or bringing in to be successful. So the theory was that he broke down is that if you have $1 million, or if you say you were to make $1 million, you're not yet rich, right? You're actually broke, because if you tally like what it will cost for you to live, the expenses that you have, etc., how long that would take you, you could go through that within 10 years or less, right? And so, because then you have to pay taxes, you have your expenses and all that stuff. So that was a good eye opener. And so the idea is that we really need to be realistic about what we need to live off of, what we need to actually be successful in our own eyes. So a lot of times we're like, if I have $1 million, or if I have $2 million, like that's going to be enough, or we have that picture in our mind, but that's not necessarily the case. So it's really about breaking down, what do I really want? Like what's going to make me happy, what's going to make me feel fulfilled, and what's going to provide for me and my family so that I can live the life that I want to live. And so it kind of takes some breaking down and forethought. And of course, you can't just save the money. You also have to invest it in order for it to grow faster, and in order for you to see it in your lifetime. So that kind of ties into your whole 70-30 thing as well. But I thought that was really helpful. So look up that video. Maybe we'll tag it here so that you could watch it if you feel like. All right, number 6. So time, right? Time is not what it seems. So I say that to say 10, 15, 20 years, 5 years, whatever it is, it's not a long time, and it goes by super fast. But what I wanted to highlight was patience. Because I know like 15 years ago, I won't even tell you how old I was, but I was in my early 20s. And so I used to think that I needed to do things fast, and I needed it to happen like tomorrow. Like I wasn't like patient. If you told me something was going to take 10 years, I'd be like, I'm not doing it. But now I see and I look at people who have like put in the work on things that they wanted to accomplish. Maybe it took them 10 years, it took them 15 years, 20 years. but they, stuck with it. They were patient, and now they have like the fruits to show it off. And this one person that I follow, Aisha Seldon, she's just super bright and full of energy, and she has a lot of wisdom, right? And so she talks about the fact that she, in her early 20s, that she, kind of put her head down. She ended up working in the financial industry, and kind of studied her craft and did what she had to do, save money, invested, and all that stuff. And now she's like reaping the benefits of it, and all because she was patient. She was patient, and now she can buy whatever she wants and go wherever she wants, do whatever she wants, work whenever she wants, and she's still fairly young. And so I wanted to kind of highlight that patience. Just because you think, all right, it's going to take me 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to do something, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, and doesn't mean that, you're wasting your time, because it's definitely going to pay off. If you're investing in yourself, in your knowledge, in your career, it will pay off, and there's life after that. So patience. Number 7 is, you've heard it a million times. I've heard it a million times, but for some reason, not for some reason, I know why. This year really made it super important and super evident that health is wealth. Nothing else matters. If you're not healthy, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many places you go. I don't care, whatever it is, who you have in your life. If you're not healthy, there's nothing more to really talk about. I was reading a book, and it was talking about a gentleman who was just like a billionaire, but he was extremely overweight and needed like people to help him get around and get to, places. So even experiences that he wanted to have, he needed to buy out a couple of seats to even just sit there. And so what is it all for? You're a billionaire, but you can't walk around, you're not healthy, you can't breathe, you can't enjoy life. And so I think we should put that more of the forefront of like what success is, making sure that you're healthy, mentally, physically, spiritually, all that. We need to spend time taking care of ourselves so that we can have to give and be more for ourselves and for others. So health. Number 8, own assets, not just stuff, right? So assets are things that make money for you. Stuff are things that you waste your money on that does not have value or does not appreciate value, and sometimes could even cost you money. So like, for instance, when I was younger, I thought that being or having a lot, or being rich or wealthy, or having it all together meant that you had shiny things. So you had a nice car, you had a nice house, the things that we can see, clothes, jewelry. But I learned over the years that those things are not important. And I don't say that to say don't buy yourself nice things, don't invest in the things that you like, but just to know that that's not the end goal. The goal is to own assets, to own things that are going to make money for you. And it's not just about making money for you, but money does allow you to do things, right? It allows you to even be a blessing to other people. It allows you to leave a legacy for your children. And actually, there's a scripture that says a wise man leaves an inheritance, right? So we always want to make sure that we're doing things to kind of propel us to the next level rather than hold us back. And so own assets, not just things. Like, reevaluate where you're putting your value and what you're thinking is valuable in your life. All right, number 9, be thankful, right? Be thankful. It's so easy. And I know for me, it's super easy for me to get wrapped up in everything that's not going well, everything that I have to do, everything that is just not like my favorite things. But there are so many things in your life to be grateful for. And the more we focus on those things, the more good things come into our lives. It's sort of like, it's been said, right? It's been said over and over again, but sometimes you can get off track and on focusing on gratitude. And I've certainly done that this year. And I notice how that affects me and how that affects my life when I'm only focusing on the bad things or only focusing on the challenges. So focus on, the good things in your life. Waking up, being able to walk around, being able to breathe, being able to see. Like, there are so many things if we even just start right there. The people who you love in your life, whatever it is, be grateful for those. And then also you can be grateful for the challenges too, because the challenges make you better. They make you stronger. They help you to be who you are right now. And so welcome the challenges, fail faster, fail forward, and just be thankful and grateful. Number 10 is similar. There is always a silver lining, right? There's always a silver lining. You just have to look for it. And so in 2020, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people just couldn't do the things that they normally do, couldn't have the experiences they expected to have, couldn't see the people who they love. But a lot of great also came out of it. Some people took 2020 and became super wealthy. Their businesses became super successful. They found what new avenue it is to go in. They pivoted. Because everybody was forced to sort of go online. At least there was an opportunity to go online, but also new businesses kind of grew from that. And other businesses who were forced to do that found out how much more lucrative, how much more beneficial it is. So there's always a silver lining. You just have to be mindful. And as our life is sort of changing rapidly and things are going more tech and things like that, everybody should be looking what's about to be extinct and where things are flourishing, because that's what's going to actually sustain you and keep you and grow you over the next even 10 years. So look for that silver lining as things are changing, as we're growing, as unexpected circumstances come, because it's there. We just have to find it. So thank you for sticking with me for these 10 things, top 10 things that I learned in 2020. I hope it was helpful to you. And please leave me a comment. Let me know what it is that, what you took from this. And if you have anything to add, I'd love to hear what you guys have learned to help us all grow. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I post these videos. Thanks. Bye.